Welcome to today's video where I have two Hyundai Konas. We're going to be looking at what's changed from the old red Kona to this new blue Kona. Some of these improvements to the Kona are better, but unfortunately for Portugal, it's still called Kona in the UK. Something that's going to make every Renault Zoe owner a little bit jealous with envy, because this used to be a feature on the Zoe and it used to be a feature actually on some Nissans. But if you hold the lock button here for a second and then hold this button that says hold, the car will do something which is amazing, which you can do by an app. But sometimes you might just want to just look out your window and not open your phone up and preheat the car. And that's precisely what this button now does. The major design change that you can see on the front of is this used to have this textured bumper effect feel, and I think it was the idea was to make it look a bit more futuristic and make it look less flat on the nose like a lot of electric cars do. The charge flap is obviously more well hidden because of this textured effect on the front, so you can't really see it when you obviously look at it. But when you move over to the new shape, they've completely smoothed it out to look more like every electric car you see, Model Y, Model 3, and it's very, very smooth. The problem is the charge flap looks bloody obvious. So the most obvious differences are when the car's side on. So let's first start with the big elephant in the room, these wheels. Now, when I've driven any Hyundai, I've always commented on how the aero wheels look hideous, and it's the one option that I'd want to change straight away. They've obviously got rid of these horrible looking aero wheels and changed them to a wheel that I am actually happy with. They look quite sporty, but they're still very aerodynamic. They're still quite capped. But the biggest change, the biggest noticeable change, is they've detangoed it. And what I mean by that is all these plastic trims here, which really sort of ruin the front of the side of the car, and even they've removed them on the front, which we'll get to in a minute when we go to the lights. They've removed all these plastic trims and they've completely colour-coded them on the car, so they look a lot more finished off. The only one they've kept a textured different colour to the car is this bottom sill, which you'll be happy to have because it will hide stuff like dirt and the occasional stone chips because of the way it's been done. So the bits they've changed at the front of the lights here is they completely changed this light. It's now completely smooth on this new blue one, where this old one had this little bump here, which was, I think, for aerodynamics, to send the air a different way in a wind tunnel. The major noticeable difference for you guys was going to be these bottom lights here that's completely redesigned. This is a lot longer and much better looking in my mind, where this one is obviously a shorter light. The thing that I mentioned before about the moving all the plastic trim, and this is why these lights look so different here, is they've removed this bit of plastic here, which has made this line on the car look a lot smoother and a lot cleaner. However, the biggest change on the new Kona is the fact that you now get a sunroof included on the top spec model. It is just a sunroof, it's not a panoramic roof, but it does make a big difference on the new top spec. Now, they've also made some changes to the lights. Now, if you look at the old Kona's lights here, you can't really tell obviously by looking at them, but they have changed the direction of the way the lights go. If you look at the new Kona, they're much more straighter lines, where here they are much more diagonal. Then if we look at the lower part here, that is an obvious change. They've got rid of this plastic trim, and they've also got rid of the way it looks a bit tango-y again, with this red surround around the light here, where this is what a lot of kids used to do to their old Fiesta lights, which was de-red them, detango them. So it's just got this small red line underneath here, and it's basically a nice clear glass. I think it's a really refreshed look. If you let me know what you think about it in the comments, and do you think these are good improvements on the rear lights? So they've actually removed some stuff from the Hyundai Kona, and one of them is they've removed the pumpy thing that does the heating pumpy stuff. Basically, they've removed the heat pump. The heat pump is basically something used for improving efficiency on electric vehicles. Now, Hyundai have completely removed the heat pump from the section of the front of the car here. The new one doesn't have all the same technology as the old one, so it doesn't have the heat pump, and you can obviously see it's missing the heat pump when you look underneath the bonnet. But even though they've removed the heat pump, the efficiency for the car remains the same. Now, you can add the heat pump option on this Hyundai Kona new shape for an additional price, but why would you? Now, the interior in the new Kona to the old Kona is very much the same. So at the moment I'm sat in the old red Kona. They've changed a couple of buttons around from the old Kona to the new Kona. If you've never had a Kona before, none of these changes will absolutely bother you at all. If you're an old Kona owner and you've come to the new Kona, one thing it does do that will bug you slightly is they've changed where the cancel cruise control is compared to where the new Kona is. So if you're an old Kona user, it'll take a while to get used to, but the biggest change, the only real change they've done to the interior is they've changed the design of the vents ever so slightly, but the most noticeable change is what you stare at every single day, and that is this dash in the startup sequence is a bit boring. But on the new one, when we go to this, they've completely changed the dash to a TFT display. Pretty much the same as every other manufacturer. Even Renault have now gone to a TFT display. It's a lot nicer looking, it looks a lot better on the car, and it's a huge improvement in my mind. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this week's video. If you're looking for a Hyundai Kona, please contact DSG Hyundai, who will sort you out a great deal when quoting EV Nick. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye. However, the biggest change on the new Kona, ow,